It's Kirsty from Adeline Country Cottage. I thought I would do a live video, and yes, here I am. Yes, not the most attractive woman, but anyway, who cares? It's all about the studio today, and I might not be able to get all your comments while I'm filming, but I'll do my best and we'll see how we go. Um, yeah, I just wanted to wait a few seconds and hopefully get a few viewers to view the video while I am live. I know it was a spur of the moment thing, but I just thought, well, let's show the studio, and of course, I did clean it up a bit because after coming back from Queensland, I thought I would give it a bit of a clean because I actually pretty much slipped over on a few things, and I thought, well, I need to clean this up. So, hi, say hello. Who's watching? Um, I'll just wait a little bit longer to make sure that there are a few more people. I'm a little bit nervous to do this live, especially, to put my mug on camera. Yeah, so hello, thank you for coming in to watch. Sorry, I'm a little bit hot right now. It's a bit hot and sweaty inside here. So yes, and if I'm a little bit shaky with the camera, that's because I'm really nervous. Um, yeah, so um, so make known that you're here, so that I can say hello to you. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this video, and of course, let me just explain a few things. I just want to make it an important thing that when I started with just hi, how are you? What am I going to make? Nothing, honey. I'm going to show you my studio. Yeah, I'm going to show you my studio. Um, I just want to stress the importance that when I first started, I started with a screen, which I will show you because it blocks off the whole, hello, whole screen that blocks off the whole entry, because this actually is a dining room and I've turned it into a huge studio. Now, the screen that I used is it came out of a restaurant, and I've had it for over 15 years, but I used it in the corner of our house the house that we sold. And all it was just a tiny little corner. I just had my computer behind it, and there was just a huge box that I had all my craft stuff in. And right beside it, I had my dining table, which is where I did all my craft making. So this is pretty much, 10 or so years of collecting stuff, bringing stuff in that I like to work with. So what I'm about to show you is like we're talking over 10 years, and it's possibly longer because I've always had a fascination of paper and a love of all things sort of beautiful around me. Also, another story is that when I was little and I was in primary school, there was a little, like almost like a she shed size that like I happened to come to school one day and the door was open and there was all these students in there, sort of looking and pondering around inside, and it was the most magical thing I'd ever seen. And it's always resonated with me, and I've had this in my head for so long that I just wanted to be surrounded with all this vintage beautiful things hanging from the ceiling, because it was just rows and rows of all this magical puppets, and it had beautiful yes, the craft room. Yeah, the craft room tour. And it had what do you call it? you know, sort of shades, vintage shades hanging from the ceiling. And it was just the most wonderful place, you know. Every little corner had something in it, and you know, and that's always resonated with me, and I've always wanted to have that for myself. Yeah, you're crazy about paper too. I have way too much. Anyway, so without sounds lovely. Am I clear? Is everything clear? Am I loud? And is the picture clear for you to see? You know, I don't want it blurry. I've had to change and use my mobile phone. It is blurry, or it's clear. Yeah, because I didn't want to do it if oh, it's perfectly clear. Fantastic. All right. So, do you think we should get started? It's perfect, fantastic. Alrighty, so basically we walk in from, if you can see behind me, that, you know, I mean, it's a bit glary. There's a staircase, goes into my lounge room through there, and of course into my kitchen over there. So the screen that I just showed you, that screen, that actually runs right through to the other side, which is a bit hard. It's got a bit of mess out there, so I'm not going to show you that, if that's okay. So what I might do, hello, I'm just wondering, so that you don't see my mug, I might flip the camera around and then we'll take you way over the other side and we'll start with that end, okay? So, oh, yes, we can flip it. Beautiful. All right, so let's walk around here. Now this is my messy area. This part here, there's one of the, I used to have a shop, a brick and mortar shop, and I closed that down a couple of years ago. So, you know, you'll see two of these little chandeliers. I made these up, and they used to hang inside in my little shop. So, this is basically my soap and painting section. Um, Lovely Shandy. Oh, thank you. Yeah, so this is my section where I make soaps, and of course it's a bookcase and some yummy vintage flowers up there, and you know, I mean, you'll see that there's just totally a huge abundance of everything and a mixture of everything here. Just a little place if I want to sit down and read. As I said, this is my messy section. It's not finished yet. All my soaps are up here. I've actually lost every one of them. I can't actually sell these now because when they fixed the ceiling in here, they all got damaged. So, and behind the curtain, you know, I've got more stock. You know, it's all stock in here of my soaps, and then of course it's all my stock, you know, for my bubble bars and, you know, my molds and so forth. I'm just going to lift it and see if I can lift it open because it's a bit hard. I've kind of really blocked it completely off. So as I said, that's just all my work area stuff, or the stuff that I stock for to make my soaps, and then just up the top I have all my canvases of my paintings, my easel, and a painting down there that I've been working on. So that's that. And of course, you know, I dry out all my flowers so that for when I do my natural dyeing. So that's all that. This is just basically my stock throw-in area at the moment. Yeah, those bubble bars, I've lost all of those as well in that whole fiasco with the ceiling. But generally this is also my paint section. So these are my paintings up the wall, and you know, they sort of just go around up there. You know, I just potter around and basically just have a play with paint. You know, I like using golden and, you know, of mixture of all paints. I like just trying out all different mediums, you know, and you know, I've got quite a bit of Derwood pencils and all that sort of yummy things. I have a obsession with collecting paints as well. My paint brushes, and of course I also like to make my own inks, you know, so just with basic textures. Oh, thank you. Which one? The purple? Is that the top one just here? That one up there. Yeah. I really enjoyed making that one. That one and this one here, the blue one. Yeah. So I really enjoyed making those. I've actually given a few to my mother. So she's got some hanging on her wall. And I've actually got another one or two hanging in my lounge room. Oh, this is my just haul that I've just got from Jane Davenport, another Australian gal. Thank you. And they're all my, all of these are all for my soaps, all my scents for my soaps. And of course, I've got another abundance, which is all down in these containers down in here. And these are all my molds and my stuff that I use to make my soap. I will have to get back into that. And of course, under here is just a whole heap of rubbish. And we'll just move along. I'm dying to get my hands on some of the Jane Davenport. Yes, yes. Actually, if anyone that's watching that's in Australia, you can now buy Jane Davenport in Art Riot. So they don't have the whole collection. They only have a few, a few items, but you can definitely get like the things like the aqua pastels and the mermaid markers. And I think her magic wands, I think, as well. Anyway, so up here, oh, you're in Florida. I think it's Michael's you can pick that up from. These are all my vintage books that I use to rip pages out. Eventually, I'll use the covers for journals. These are all the other vintage books that I have collected that eventually will be turned into, journals and so forth. And of course, business stuff, that's all yuck. And this basically is my little junk stuff, basically where I keep all my stuff to do packing and wrapping and some of the extra glues and so forth. There's some of my vintage wallpapers down here. Are we going to swoon on that? I swoon on it all the time. Okay, now this unit here, I actually had collected vintage drawers, or just basically drawers out of all antique furniture that was thrown on the side of the road. And I had a local it's a local woodworking thing where they get people back into work, children, to get them off the street. So it's all sort of voluntary work in there, but it's also you basically you give a donation. So, and I thought that was the perfect people to work on this for me, because I felt like I was giving back to them, and I donated for them to put it all together. So basically they just turned every, like this here, and I might end up running out of battery here too, because I just realized it came on low battery. So anyway, so that basically that one there is a drawer. This one's a drawer here. There's another drawer in behind that, and this is a huge drawer, and then they've put another drawer inside, and then I've asked them to put like little shelving to place all my ribbons and so forth, to make them all into tiny little shelves. So we've got some Christmas tinsel, Katie Vintage, who's no longer around, jewels, so that I can cut up to put into my artwork. Oh, this was for my actual brick and mortar shop. I couldn't get rid of it. I thought it was cute. Vintage cards from, like the thrift store or the op shop. Sorry if it's going to get dark. And this book here is actually filled with all the tags basically that I've made. Actually, I'll pull that up because it's a little bit dark down here. I just hope I don't. Oh, here, have a look at that part. Just hope I don't knock down my studio light. Okay, so let's bring it up here. Sorry if it's a bit shaky and wonky. Yeah, so these are all the gift tags that I've made over the years, and I just basically keep one of everything, so that way I know what I have made. I mean, this is not all of them. I've actually lost quite a few, or they're misplaced somewhere in the house in the moving, how many times we've moved. So yeah, so this is basically my little collection of everything so far, you know, that I've made. And of course, as I said, there's stuff that I haven't actually put in there. These are all my vintage birthday cards and postcards. That's a brilliant way to store them. Yes. Actually, that was my step niece had given me that for Christmas one year, and I thought it was the perfect thing to put it in. Yeah. So basically, these are all just vintage cards, postcards. My postcards are out everywhere. Yeah, so I generally, if I want to scan them in, or because I collect them all. I mean, that's only some of them, and there's some more in here of the Christmas ones. Sorry if it's a bit dark, And then I've got these old children's books, old albums. I have down here, my strings and so forth. Yeah, I still leave my Christmas trees up because, I like Christmas all year round. Some teacups, and so of course, here, let me just move my studio light out of the way. And of course, there is other stuff up there, and my wooden blocks, stamp blocks up there. So I'll just go a little bit slow so you can sort of see. And that's all that sheer stuff that I was talking about in my new journal, the Bringing Love journal. That's all those sheer components up there. And there's more trimming, and of course some natural things. I just, I don't know, when things dry out like this orange peel, yeah, let's just bring my hand over here so I don't shade it up. It reminded me of a mushroom head, so I just sort of kept that up there, So that's more drawers, and I've added doorknobs to hang things off. And yeah, so that's that kind of wall. Then we move, let me just see if I can go over this way. These here are my, I mean, this isn't vintage, but my vintage pants. I love the fabric, and so I have kept that. This originally was my mother-in-law's, one of her dresses. I got to run, darling. Okay, yeah, that's fine. You can watch it later. Yeah, so that's basically, these are all my mother-in-law's pieces of clothing, and I've just got those there sort of as inspiration. And we've got some vintage books down here, and this box is filled with fabric, lace, and then lace and behind there, and all these will be turned eventually into journals. And then we've got this kitchen dresser where I've got a lot of storage up there where I put things inside. And then I've got here where, my rusted out, where I rust up things. I just got that. I love that whole lolly, the old-fashioned lolly stand. So I've just sort of added them in, and that way I can see what's in them, vintage millinery, and then of course it goes into fabric, boho fabric, and then washi. And I'll open up, close this door. And then here we've got more, and the vintage books behind for inspiration. And yeah, so we go, there's some little bottles, just clear looking, what are these called? Baubles. And of course washi. Your journals are fabulous. Oh, thank you. And washi in there. And this is all just what I use to rip up, to put inside the journals as pages. Same that's kept in here. More big jar of washi 2 more jars that used to hold my soap or soaps in the shop that I used to have. So because they're all finished, I just love them, so I'm using them to put my lace in. And I couldn't remove the labels, I thought they were too cute. Some vintage books that will be eventually turned to journals, and then there's inspirational pieces through here, ones that I've actually bought from Carla Nathan, with her beautiful work, from Carla's Cottage, if you've ever seen her shop. You know, you would have seen that on one of my other my other videos as an inspiration to make a folder. And this was with the Carla Nathan swap. We did a cookbook, and every person did a collage type thing and printed it off, and then popped it in, sent it to Carla, and made up a whole heap of books. So that's that. And then I've got some clothing and stuff like that I used to sell that is just sort of remnants and leftovers up on there. And then we got all my sari silk. Yes, thank you. Sari silk. I'm going to open this up to give more light. All my sari silk and lace, and that is sort of stored down on there. And then we move across to this part. Sorry if it's going to get dark. It's actually mid-morning. Love this. The jars are a great idea. Yes, fantastic. I thought they were brilliant too, because it reminds me of lollies. Down here, let's see if I can get the lighting right for you. It's just like a little two vintage boxes and some books that I like to read. And then up here, this little compartment, it's all individual little compartments here. Yes, ladies, you're seeing my range, my Mother's Day range in the process here. Every journal that I make goes into a section through this and goes through a process, so that way I have it all. Thank you, you're gorgeous too. Yeah, so this is basically when I've made it up here on my desk, I bring it and I slot it into here, and then I've sort of work in a process. So it starts off on this side, goes through to my desk, and then it comes here when it's almost, you know, done. So these need to be sewn together, including all the little bits and pieces that got to go in. And this is the new stuff that's supposed to be working on after this. At the moment, I'm working on some boho journals for the custom orders that I've had before Christmas, which they've been very patient. Thank you, ladies. Now, this is the other chandelier lampshade that I had made. Let's see if I can get it at a nicer lighting. And I've just made it out of all different vintage doilies, and this hanging was actually that was actually wrapped all the way around the shade, and I've just torn it down in strips and then just popped it off because it was so easy to rip. Okay, so, and this is where basically I work, and I've got stuff everywhere. So there's more books down under here, things that I need easy access. Things like washi I'm working on with, and double-sided tape, and things, stamps and stuff that I'm wanting to work with. And then I've only just purchased this new thing. I just needed to house all the glues in the one spot so it didn't get all over my bench. And basically I've just in these is just like ephemera packs that I've had and that aren't open yet, and Christmas stuff where I work on. These are all remnants of all journals that I've worked on in the past. But organized, yeah, exactly. So these are so that if I need to remake something, they're there. Here is a box that I had scored, that's filled with all vintage cards and the whole thing's filled. I won't pull it out because I'll end up spilling all my glitter here. These are all pattern making books. Some are vintage, some aren't. The tea dyed paper which I've just thrown up there. easy accessible books and so forth on this shelf. This little box I bought off Carla Nathan of her Carla's Cottage site. All my paper pads, and then my tools are down there. Inside there I've got extra dyed stuff in here. All my ledger books are in here. These are all stuff that I've been working on, and just remnants, you know, cut-offs and stuff like that. And these books are all the, and they go back another stack, which is the Jean d'Arc Living magazines. These are my other magazines in here, all the papers that I use. I'm kind of going a little bit rushed now because I don't know when my phone's going to die. So I might have to do a little part two. Paper packs for printing, as well as what I used for you know, for front covers, because they're a harder casing, harder or cardboard. So that's where I keep all of those. Up here is, and I love these, I collect a lot of these little old vintage baskets. Up here, more books, vintage books and tins. These are my whole collection of vintage tins up here, which I'm obsessed with. And I've actually now scanned them all to make printables, so I'm working on that, so you'll have to keep an eye out on that. And then we go across here, and just down, obviously my printing, and my Cricut, which I haven't used yet, which I got for Christmas. And then I've got my this is my scripted. It's all it's a script typewriter, so it's not your normal typewriter. It actually types in script, so I need new ink for that. And down here is just extra things like yeah, oh, thank you. You know, things like, you know, rub-ons and stickers and sort of little wooden things, and which I've had for years, which seriously, I really don't want them anymore. I'm just thinking about doing a big, huge kit. And these were all yo-yos. At one stage, I was going to do a massive, big vintage quilt for the bed, but, you know, never finished. More paper pads and stuff in here, paper in here, and then there's more paper down inside there. Sorry if it's all messy. This filing cabinet, yeah, sorry about the wiring, because yeah, I've got to bring it for around the corner. This cabinet here I had made up because I had two of these vintage filing cabinet drawers, and I had somebody make them up for a box for a box window for my shop. So that was great for storage in there. So that's that. And then there's my basket that sort of sits in front. It's huge, and that's got a, which you haven't seen, I've done a video with all this fabric because I've only just got that, which is for the Mother's Day journals. My little stand with my little inspiration vintage cards and stuff. I'm going to cough. And there's a tarot above. So right in the window is a big blue vintage box, and it's filled with all my vintage wallpaper. So there's a massive amount here. I did that as a bit of a collage because I was going to use that as a background thing for my videos when I filmed. But that doesn't happen because it doesn't come up. It looks too busy. Another box filled, what do you call it? Basket filled with fabrics and so forth. And then again on top. And then we come down here. Oh, thank you. Yes, my little place of eye candy. And then there's just remnants of things that was given to me from my nan, you know, just sort of popped in here. You know, sort of whether it be lace or, you know, this little pouch, which has, you know, sort of things like the stuff that she used to sew with, and, you know, I don't know, it's just all remnants of a lot of things, you know, so vintage things, and lace and so forth. And, you know, those paper books, or pads that you write, letter writing pads and so forth. Now they are sitting on, see these boxes, the laundry powder. Everybody asks me, you know my secret now. Everybody asks me why my journals smell so beautiful, because I'll pop it in there for about half an hour, and yeah, that's how I get them so yummy smelling. Now, this part here is where I do my filming. Yeah, it's not the best lighting, but you know, so I just have a little basket hanging here when I'm working on stuff, and so you know how I've been working on bringing love. Yeah, so this has all the little bits and pieces in here, so if I want to not a very good lighting thing, is it? Yes, for me to film. Oh, I must add, I'm obsessed with big things. That sounds really bad. Big clips. I love big clips. And to go with my big clips, I have a big, like that's really huge. Like it's almost, look at the size of it in my hand, a sharpener. But that's not all. I also am obsessed, yeah, with, as I mentioned, big things. Check out these. Look at the size of these markers. They are massive, and they're scented. They're huge, literally huge. It's almost as, actually, it's the same size as a journal. That's how big they are. They're massive. I love big, massive clips and stuff. Anyway, I keep soap around. I keep soap around because it makes my room smell good. I still, look, even though I make it, I buy it from people as well. As I said, this is where I film. You've seen this journal. I use this now as an inspiration thing to get ideas from. And of course, there's that journal that I've been working on. This is where I sew. Remember I mentioned about Love Child? I made a huge series of Love Child pillows. Oh, thank you. I loved making that journal. Excuse me. Yeah, so Love Child was a TV show here, and it still runs, but it only runs in certain times, the series and season. And anyway, I made up, inspired by that show, a heap of cushions out of vintage fabric, and I made this sign to hang in my window as a window display. So I still love it. It's inspiration for me. So I use that, and that's basically where I sit and sew, and then when I film and sew there. That's a bit of an inspiration board. I tend to swap them in and out. That one started to clear because, you know, I wanted to come up with something else. Some more rolls of fabric, my boho fabric, as well as my own fabric. Usually mine gets stored a little bit under everything, because, you know, and then I've got my little fabric swatches there, so I know what colors I want to choose, that sort of thing. And this is my wall of fabric. I'll just move back here. So this is basically the wall where I store, look, I store things up inside these, whether it be wooden blocks, or, you know, letters and stuff like that. There's also lace and so forth. Yeah, the hat boxes. Yeah, the hat boxes up there, because I used to make a heap of hat boxes a few years back. Sorry, I'm just moving through. So I made this one, that one there. I made the one beside it, the one beside that, the one on top, and the other one's still not quite finished, that one. Yeah, I think they're the only ones I have left. Every little thing. Oh, thank you. Yeah, so, you know, just different things have different, you know, it might have lace. I mean, I think these ones have got all my boho lace in. And, you know, some of them have got, oh, that's got a stamp collection, all my stamps, stamp collection. And I'm on 10% on my phone now, so if it dies out, please forgive. I'll charge up and I'll continue if I need to, but I'll try to wrap it up. As I said, these are all my fabrics. Some of these are new. Old vintage wallpapers are beautiful. Oh, thank you. So, you know, some of these are vintage, some of them are new. This is vintage, you know, so I've mixed them in with each other. You know, things like this one. That's a vintage one. That one's a vintage. These two are vintage. They're just absolutely gorgeous. I haven't got to them yet to make journals out of. You know, and so down in here there's more vintage as well as some new fabrics in here, and some up more, you know, it's just all remnants of fabrics. I mean, this was my girls' school dresses, but they want to turn them into little tops now and dye them out. Down here is all my trim, you know, whether it be lace trims, or, you know, tassels, beaded tassels, the sequencey type, and then there's this one here, which was for a wedding dress. They're from Miss Rose Sister Violet, by the way, those two there. Actually, that is two, but I think that's discontinued. Then we got some doilies, and then the dyed stuff that I've dyed. Tablecloths that I eventually want to get around to using. Old jeans where I've washed and scrubbed that I want for journals. So, and then there's a basket here of all remnants that I use for, you know, all my little tidbits and pieces that I want to cut out with. And the stickers down below, which is for my Cricut, because eventually I want to do a little sticker set of my old vintage stuff. And then we have all my music paper here. Now that's only not even half of it, actually. There's another massive box out in the garage, but I've just run out of room to where to store it. You know, and some of them, I mean, look at this. Isn't that just divine? Eventually I want to use that as a printable. It's just the most gorgeous thing. And, you know, a country girl, I like that. Yeah, so there's some gorgeous things in there. And then in here I have a whole thing filled with more postcards. Oh, I can't get it out. Why? Let me change hands. Yeah, so, you know, in here is a whole heap of postcards and so forth. This is not the best video, let me tell you. I just feel like I'm just flying by the seat of my pants here, you know. And then there was these ones that I've got, which I need to scan as well, which I purchased like this. So yeah, so all of these, and then there's all my tea books, you know, that's got all the tea cards in. You know, you're doing fabulous job. Oh, thank you. Yeah, so all of these are those tea books that everybody, you know, a lot of journal ladies are using. You know, there's trees, there's what are these ones? Yeah, these ones are all the wildflowers that all the ladies swoon over, but I'm scared to pull them out of the book because they're kind of fully set. But anyway, that all goes in there. All my little paint chips that I use for my journals. These are all where I keep all my inks and stamps in here. Sorry, I just got to climb up. Yeah, so these drawers you can actually pick up from Officeworks if anybody is in Australia. So it's just stamps. So that's where I keep all of those. Yeah, so that's all my stamps kept in here. And then we move up here. It's just my little boho bells. And this is my favorite all-time vintage tin. It's the one that Rachel Ashwell has in all her books. And I happened to find one and I swooned on it straight away. I had to have it. In here has all my glitters, whether it be glass glitter or, you know, just loose glitter. What do you call it? You know, so this is the some of the glass glitter. So they're kept in there. So that goes all the way through of all different sizes. And that's my mica snow. It's filled the whole bin. There's more glitter up the back there. And there's some of my tags. And of course, you know what these are. These are my noodles. And these all have my tidbits in. When I'm, oh, sorry, no, that's, what's that stuff called? Pipe cleaners. Yeah, so that's in that one. But these ones have two, you know, little, what do you call it? Tidbits in for all my journals, you know, when I make all my tabs. And that one has lace. And this one has more tidbits, and I think, yeah, that's more on the lines of the sheer or the muslin stuff. This little basket has just bits of nothing. I have my decorative punches, my die cuts are in there, my eco dyed muslins stored in here, unopened packets of, you know, whether it be tools or ephemera. Again, one of those baskets which houses all, you know, my dockets. I know, silly, but anyway, that's what's kept in there. And these are just my journals. You know, I've started, my daughter said you need to start keeping one of each of your journals now. So I've started doing that. And these are journals that I made a while back. They're not finished. They will be released somewhat soon. That's when, remember, I did that photo of, I think, something like that. So that's probably going to be the front cover. But these are really big, going to be massive journals. The Christmas journals that need to be finished for July, I'm hoping. Couple of little journals. And there's some stamps at the back there. And I think, yeah, this is all filled with chandelier, little chandelier pieces that I put apart an old chandelier. Sorry, I'm just bending down to grab that. And basically, that's it, my friends. I'll give you a quick sort of, you know, overview of everything. I'll stand back. So that's looking from back in the other side of everything. And I'll go over this side, so that looks back over that way as I enter into my room. So I mean, it's a bit dark. I'm really sorry. Maybe I should if I put that light on, it's going to give it. You're blown away? Oh, I know, it is heaven. It's my little piece of heaven. It is, honestly, it's so inspirational. I just look around the room and I think, you know what? I think I might use you. Or, you know, it might be an inspiration for the front covers. And I have to admit, oh, thank you. This one here, the color palette, and that one was the one that gave inspiration for the new Bring Me Love journal. So, and that's looking back that way on that kitchen dresser. I mean, in the underneath has my personal stuff, because that I used to use as my original kitchen dresser. And the lighting's gone a little bit funny now, and basically that's it. Ah, I know, it's nice to display everything out so that you can see. I haven't had that at all. It wasn't until, you know, the roof that leaked, which I'll just show you. The roof, and it's leaked again. See the hole? When I was doing the Christmas journal, the daily December, I felt a drop of water after it was fixed. A drop of water on my back, and lo and behold, it started again. So once that happened, I said to my husband, I'm going to buy some IKEA well, that bookshelf is IKEA, and I had the table that attaches to that bookshelf. And then of course I bought the sewing table as and from IKEA as well. The chairs are from Kmart. This was an old school. Oh, look down there. That Kaisercraft I bought was supposed to be a Boxing Day haul. Because I bought all that on Boxing Day because they had a huge sale at their shop down at the factory outlets. Oh, I didn't show here. Sick with envy. Oh, don't be. Some plastic drawers one day. Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, as you go on, you love Kaisercraft. Yeah, look, I try to stick to Kaisercraft paper now because I'm trying to do everything on the more on that Australian made. So, buy from Australia and make it, yeah, make my journals or whatever I'm producing. Yeah. So this desk actually was my brother-in-law's. He went to throw it out, so I kept it. I've actually painted the top now. Now this wooden thing where you see me film from, this actually there's about 5 of them, and they're all different sizes because I have a huge wooden ladder and they sit across the wooden ladder to make shelves. So each step goes into a shelf, and that's the largest one. So I just painted that up pure white so that way I can do my filming. Yeah, so that's pretty much it, my friends. That's all my yummy goodness. As I said, it's taken nearly 10 years to have something beautiful like this, and I'm not sure how long I'll be in this house for, because we're only renting. Great to see your room. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Oh, darn, come in late. Oh no, you'll be able to still watch it. You're welcome. I'm so glad I inspired you. Yeah, so thank you. Oh, yeah, no, thank you for watching. I'm so grateful that you came. Thank you so much. Yeah, so you'll be able to rewatch this once I hit publish as well. And if you have any questions or something you want to ask, you're welcome. Just let me know, and I'm more than happy to guide you in whatever way possible. But yeah, otherwise, thank you all for watching, and that hopefully you're inspired, and I will see you. Actually, I'll turn it around so that you can see my mug again. Okay, here I am. So yeah, so I will see you in my next video, and thank you all again for watching and coming to see my cute little, well, big studio. Yeah, and I hope you're all inspired to get creating. Okay, thank you. No, thank you again. And I'll see you soon. Bye.